Hi everyone, today we are going to be learning and exploring how to tell time to the hour and the half hour, and we are going to read it on an analog clock and write it in the digital time. Let's get started. So today, guys, we are going to use clocks, and we're going to use two different types of clocks. We are going to use an analog clock, a clock or a watch that has moving hands and hours, marked from 1 to 12 to show you the time. So it kind of looks like this, what you would see in a classroom, on a watch, and some other different places. While we're going to write it digitally, which is a clock or a watch that shows the time using numbers and not hands. So it will look like this with the two dots in the middle. When we tell time to the hour, we look at the hour hand and the minute hand. So a clock has two hands on a analog clock. So the short hand is going to be the hour hand and it points to the hour. And the minute hand is the long hand and the minute hand points to the minute. So when we look at this clock, we can see that the hour hand is the shorter one and then the minute hand is the longer one. So, and then all of these little dots in between are going to be the minutes, while the bigger numbers will stand for the hours as well. Okay? So we are going to focus on telling time to the hour first. So when we say that we want to tell time to the hour, we sometimes will say o'clock when the time is pointing to the 12. Okay, so for example, this is going to be 9 o'clock. Okay. So we're going to practice really quick together. So if you look at this hand, we can see that the minute hand is all the way up on the 12, so we know that that's going to be o'clock. So we already know that this is going to be 0, 0. And then the smaller hand right here is pointing to the 6, so we know that that's going to be 6 o'clock. And then down here we're going to write 6 o'clock, so that way it matches the digital time. Okay, so let's look at this one over here. So again, the big minute hand is pointing to the 12, so we're going to say 0, 0, or we can also say o'clock, which is down here. And then the hour hand is pointing to the 12, so we know that that's going to be 12 o'clock. And then down here we can say 12 o'clock. Okay. So we're going to also look at half hours. So half of an hour means that the big hand or the minute hand is going to be on the 6, so that's half of the time. So when we look at this clock, we can see 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. It would keep going. So half of an hour is going to be pointing to the 6, okay? So this clock says 9:30, okay? So we're going to practice. So as you can see, that big minute hand is pointing to the 6, so we already know it's going to be 30 because that's going to be half of an hour, okay? So then we can see that this hour hand isn't really on the 12 yet, okay? And it's not really on the 11, so we know that we got to jump backwards, okay? Because it hasn't touched the 12 yet, okay? So it's still 11, so we're going to say 11. Then we're going to move over here to this clock, where we can see that the big minute hand is pointing on the 6 again. And then we can see again, this hour hand isn't really there yet. It hasn't touched the 11, so we know we got to jump backwards to the 10. Okay. It's hard to do with a mouse. All right, so that is it for today. We're going to continue to work on hour and half hour later on. All right, thanks. Bye.